Hi, Luna. Welcome back again to Bod TV, Bod, where we analyze all the trends that they happen. They say 103 dead body where they pack for grand. They should not be EndSARS. The whole thing don't shock everybody. Now, one for Nigeria. Who do us? Who do us? Hey, now this one they call make and Dele Faro to me come out. I don't know one save us. See, to the extent they couldn't lie, say the dead bodies not be from the EndSARS, say now from different locations. Well, so Atiku can still come out, still talk about say Tinubu not supposed to be the president of Nigeria. Say now him not be the right candidate. We're supposed to be the president of the Tinubu, Atiku, one a brother, one a sister. Now remember say Tinubu na a woman. One a brother, one a sister. So that the same papa and the same mama, they bought two of them. So we don't need two of them. Two of them is cancelled. It's cancelled. They say even say this old tribunal come with the what they would say even the one who consider doing the re-election go be between the who get the highest votes. And according to them, basically people who get the highest vote now Tinubu and Atiku. So Peter Obi not with the show at all. Now don't want they want try to make us understand. He said whether the court like it or not, the truth will always pop out, and the wickedness perpetrated by these hooligans will chase them in all their lives. Who talked this one? Dele Faro to me. See, the man was bittered, like he was really bittered. When I asked him these stories concerning these 103 dead bodies for EndSARS, the man, he really pour a heart towards this whole nyama thing of waiting happen on the 20th October 2020. You know, at the end of the day, you know, after the maneuver and everything what they do, they say they want to spend 61 million naira for the mass burial. Okay, we'll leave that one for them. Even Dokumbo, Asari Dokumbo, you know, we also see the video now, see the training video where we say comments where he can support Tinubu with the hooligans, you know, with the touts and all of them. It shall not be government. It shall not be government. All right. Moving away from everything that has to do with news and everything, let's come back to the prophecy. You know, say one thing, whether you like it or not, whether prophecy come to pass or you not come to pass, so we don't want, you know, we don't want the same Nigerians we've always known as it be before. You know, Kaje, Awoke, Erioje, we don't need them again. So let's, the only faith we will get now, let me say, we won't believe say Peter Obi go come into power. So let's look at him now and say, okay, any prophecy will come now, whether good or bad, we will embrace them. That's our last hope, because this judiciary will not even know where we stand. That's the truth. So una prophets, una already know the prophet why they talk. He can come and talk, say Peter Obi they come. He say Bola Tinubu they go. Peter Obi they come. Bola Tinubu they go. So that you like him or not. He say this judiciary, this presidency where they so. He say you'll see him now, everything go wipe away from the surface of the earth. Say, but the pressure way the tribunal they face, he said the thing there, he said not be here, he said the thing strong. He said he go take the grace of God, may they take talk in favor of Obi. He said, but may Nigerians hold on, may they hold on, may they be like the children of Israel, we continue to they cry to God until God can send Moses, may come rescue them from the hands of the Egyptians. He said, and so we be today. He said, more continue to they cry to God. So he can't talk and say, Peter Obi, he be like David. Then Tinubu, he be like King Saul. Say the spirit of God don't depart more for King Saul body, not there again. Say that this body of Peter Obi na day right now. So God don't give Peter Obi the mandate to rule the people. Say all these things where Tinubu they do so. Say now grass is just they clear, and the more they clear the grass, the more the grass go they grow. You see all this evidence where they see, say now smart. He said the one they come, he said because they force the put for there. He said the one they come and our rain go plenty and go chase one after the other. He said to the extent we go end the shame. Whether you talk saying a lie, whether you talk saying a truth, I don't know. That's what the prophecy be. But the Bible make me understand. Say, even if it tarry, say, but one day it shall surely come to pass. So that's why I talk down around. So this news and many other news now will bring come just small package. So you just can't show and say, man, see what they happen. In case maybe you miss out of the many news wey be say Bod TV board wey dey analyze all the trends wey dey happen. Una well done, no. Now thank you. I will see you for my next video. Una bye bye.
Social media was agog on Sunday after reports emerged that the Lagos state government had allegedly approved an estimated 61 million naira for a mass burial of 103 EndSARS victims. In a quick rebuttal, the Lagos state government debunked the claims, stating that peddlers of the news are deliberately misinterpreting and sensationalizing the report. A letter which went viral on social media from the Lagos state government public procurement agency titled Letter of No Objection, Mass Burial for the 103, the year 2020 EndSARS victim, claimed that the state government engaged the services of TOS Funeral Limited, a private firm, at the cost of 61,285,000 naira to bury 103 bodies, which were identified to be victims of the killings. The Lagos state government, however, said the 103 casualties mentioned in the letter were victims of the EndSARS violence in community clashes prior to the incident at the Lekki toll gate on October 20, 2020, insisting that the casualties are not from the Lekki toll gate as being alleged, and that nobody was retrieved from the Lekki toll gate incident. Now, the Lagos state government has maintained their claim. They claim that nobody was retrieved from the incident. I mean, over the weekend, our videos were trending from, 2020, where the Lagos state governor gave the interview saying that, nobody died, also from CNN. But let me take more reactions. This is from Big Mo. Well, he wrote, "First things first, the letter is true, so that's out of the way. Secondly, let's even assume the deaths didn't happen at the toll gate for a second, but 103 human beings, not cattle, killed across the state while protesting for police brutality was not enough concern for the state or federal government for almost 3 years. Why did the state keep mute about the number of deaths? What exactly did the state, federal government do to prevent this massive death happening again? Life in Nigeria is truly worthless. I don't see how this much number of people will die during a protest, and not even a memorial was done on their behalf. Since the government knew about this number of deaths over the years and kept mute about it, it's clear there has been a massive cover-up by the state of what truly happened during the EndSARS protest. Now, I truly understand why the last state governorship election was a do or die affair for them. Well, Rini Oduola wrote, families of EndSARS victims killed by the police forces showed up, by the way, looking for the bodies of their loved ones, including Belumi Onifade's mother. They were asked to drop DNA samples. They dropped. Lagos state government never did any DNA test for the samples collected. I can go on and on with the tweets, but Dr. Abati, I want to start with you. I spoke with the former spokesperson for the Lagos state government, Gbenga Omotosha, and he gave me some insight, and he did share with me a couple of articles and reports where they had announced or made some announcements, if you can pull up those articles, about these bodies that were in the morgue. And he also said that it is a common thing that happens in Lagos, that there's, the Lagos state always conducts mass burials. I mean, this is one of the reports, the public announcement that came out. But can you really, really blame Nigerians for feeling the way that they are feeling at this point?
The Lagos state government has clarified the content of a leaked memo of its Ministry of Health, which claimed that the state government approved 61,285,000 naira for the mass burial of 103 persons identified as 2020 EndSARS victims has gone viral on social media, sparking outrage. In a statement issued yesterday, the state government said the bodies were recovered from different parts of the state during and after the protests, and that none of the 103 bodies were recovered from the Lekki toll gate in October 2020 during the EndSARS protest against police brutality. Lagos state government further stated that, and I quote, peddlers of the news are deliberately misinterpreting and sensationalizing a letter from the Lagos State Government Public Procurement Agency titled Letter of No Objection, Mass Burial for the 103, the year 2020 EndSARS victims to misinform the public, stir public sentiment, and cause public disaffection against the Lagos State Government. End of quote. However, EndSARS victims' lawyers differ from this claim and holds a different view entirely.
The 103 victims being referred to did not die at the Lekki toll gate. And that, in fact, when the chief coroner called on the public to come and identify if they had anybody in the state morgue, that nobody came forward. And in the report of the panel of inquiry that was set up, it was not indicated anywhere that bodies were picked up at the Lekki toll gate. What's your reaction to this development, which went viral during the weekend?
The thing about the truth is that it requires no embellishments. The unfortunate thing, or maybe the fortunate thing about lies, is that they are always short-lived. They are the proverbial abiku. That is what lies actually are. I remember sitting in your studio a couple of years ago, and I recall telling you at the time that if the Lagos state government would dare to allow the panel to do its work, it would be stripped naked in daylight. That there are more than sufficient evidences in the public space that will render it impossible for them to get away with the lies that they were busy concocting. Let me be clear. I hold the press responsible for the capacity of the Nigerian state to tell these nauseating lies and get away with them. Because, Doctor, the report of the panel, which is different from the white paper, the report of the panel was emphatic in concluding that there was a massacre at Lekki toll gate. We're not dealing with the paucity of evidence. We're dealing with the readiness of human beings to collaborate with evil, to acculturate evil, and to normalize, explain it. It's no longer about whether it happened or it did not happen. DJ Switch, God bless her soul, at risk to her life, she had a live Instagram feed. That is not a recording that was posted, a live feed. I saw victims, people with bullet wounds. I, in conjunction with many others, dealt with victims. The same Lagos state government that has continued to deny what is slapping it in the face is even paining me that my dear friend, Mr. Omotosho, is not available to come and help them amplify these lies again. They will continue to lie about what... Look, let's deal with the facts as we know them right now. The panel was emphatic there was a massacre. That one, let them stop all that gaslighting and obfuscating. So if you say these 103 people were not the ones that were picked up from the toll gate, if human life truly matters in our country, where were these ones picked up? Exactly where? The entire purpose of the coroner's law is so that you have accountability for even for the dead.
No, a list is
provided. But when the state is the one actively seeking to cover the truth.
A list is provided. A list of places where some of those bodies were picked up, is provided or was provided.
Doctor,
including Ikoyi
the Lagos state government would prefer. That is a blatant, horrible, easily verifiable lie. People can go look, Doctor, the Lagos state government would prefer that we are having this back and forth about the nitty-gritty of the facts, but the facts are not in dispute. The same Sanwo-Olu and co who are busy denying what took place, they paid cash. They paid cash to victims. The lawyers who actually appeared in court, Babashino Ogunlana, Ayo Ademiluyi, they will tell you as a fact that victims that were represented by them, numbering over 20, at least those who survived with wounds, they were paid in cash, millions in cash. Baba Ogunlana Ademiluyi had to refuse to accept what was offered to them. So when they come out and they start telling these lies, I'm not speaking out of hatred for anybody, but I refuse on behalf of those who have died, as long as you have a mic in front of me, I refuse to help them normalize the lies they are telling. But to even now deal with something that everybody appears to be forgetting. Not only have you denied the humanity of these persons by denying that they were killed, 103 people are going to be given mass burials. I was explaining that beyond the inanities that they will prefer that we focus on, it is critical that we look even at the document itself. You want to bury 103 human beings whose humanity you have denied, who are not in any way, shape, or form acknowledged as beings, but you have voted 61 million naira. So on each one of them, you are telling us you want to bury each one of them for 500,000. Even in burying the evidence of your complicities, you have to inflate the cost of their burial. They mean nothing. And those who are busy defending them and who want us to be having this insane discussion about whether it happened or it did not happen, because it happened. Let us just focus on making sure things like this do not happen in our country again. We can't normalize this by sweeping it under the carpet. That is the entire purpose of making sure that this is not swept under the carpet. It cannot and must not be allowed to be swept under the carpet. These are some people's children. These are some other persons, maybe fathers, mothers. We don't even have the benefit of knowing who they are. This was the same thing that happened in 1993 when Abacha was taking over this country. People were slaughtered and buried in unmarked graves all over the place. The same thing is what has happened in broad daylight in front of all of us, and they are putting it in front of us in broad daylight, and they are still denying it in spite of all of the evidences. What we saw, what was leaked, it was one of their own who leaked it. If they had had the opportunity to deny it completely, they would have denied it. But this has been brought to light because you cannot bury the truth.
All right, Mr. Farutimi.
So please, the Nigerian press has a duty.
Yes. Mr. Farutimi, let me come in here, please. And that's, let me just, you said something, that these are people's relatives, fathers, mothers, children. And this is also one of the claims of that statement released by the Lagos state government, saying that we've had 3 years in between from 2020, and that they put out a notice, the chief coroner put out a notice for people to come out to claim the 103. The big question, or the question that a number of Nigerians ask is, why have the families of these 103 not come out to identify them? Why has there not been a report of missing people? What is the concern? Why have people not come out? That's what a number of people have been asking in terms of these, the massacre, the number of people dead.
Ayo, let me attempt to shed some light on that. And this is because I closely identified with most of these people, and I know the peculiarities of some of the issues. On the 20th of October, a curfew was declared. But beyond that curfew being declared, something else happened. There are people in this Lagos state today who belong to different WhatsApp forums, who on their forum received messages telling them to warn their children and wards to leave Lekki Toll Gate. That's one. Two, on that day, around that time of the day, the only people that are usually left at Lekki Toll Gate are the people who come from the different shanties and ghettos around Oniru, Lekki itself, who would stay and mount guard on the protest ground. They would clean up. They were the ones who were largely there, people who were largely around Morocco axis. These are artisans who will come to work in Lekki during the week. They will stay on their work site and they will come to that place. The government itself was active in covering up what was happening. They were busy denying it, but there were people within the Lagos State Government Hospital Management Board who were telling us what was going on. There were people within Bobi who were telling us what was going on. The state was actively covering up things. People like DJ Switch, who had a live feed, had to run. What we're saying is not to have these insane discussions, because it's insane. The panel set up by the government itself was unequivocal in accepting that there was a massacre. Whether the government continues to tell these lies or not, the truth will keep popping up. It was one of their own that leaked this. People have photographic and video evidences. It will eventually come out. I paid for somebody who had gunshot injuries to his leg to be moved to Kano. If that guy had died, who would have come to find him in Lagos? How many people die in Lagos every day? Corpses on the street. Let them not gaslight us by demanding that the relatives of these people should come out to validate. These ones who died, that they claim that they picked up in Baja, picked up in this and picked up in that, are they not with relatives? How come nobody has come for them as well? It's simple. The state suppressed the evidence that is coming out 3 years after. It's nonsense. There were multiple people who came out to say that their people died, people who saw their friends dying in that place who never saw their bodies. So those people don't exist simply because the government says they do not exist. You cannot deny the humanities of these persons. Just as this memo is an internal memo, maybe somebody who didn't get his own share of the loot, who was disgruntled, leaked it. More of such leakages would happen. Those who stand on the truth are mortal, but the truth is immortal. Those who stand on top of it will die eventually, or they will leave office. Those who are afraid of telling the truth because of those in power today would have no need to be afraid tomorrow. They will speak.
Okay, real quickly. 2 things. With all of this we've seen, do we have a society, in your own estimation, that is ready for the truth? Secondly, many years after, there were some recommendations made in that panel report. We have not seen some of them being done. What is happening? Because let's not forget, we politicized the society. It now became a case of for and against. The panel report that was supposed to be a rallying point for everybody. Are we ready for the truth as a society?
Rufai, I feel your pain and your anguish. They are a kindred spirit. Reality of the matter is that a society deserves the leaders or ruiners that it gets. And such is the case with the Nigerian society. We subjectivize the truth. So if A does it, it is bad. But when it is done by B, there is nothing wrong with it. Fact of the matter is that the Nigerian society is far removed from truth, but we will get there one day. It is incumbent on those who know the truth to refuse to be silenced. They have to speak that truth. Whatever the case might be, you only normalize evil when you keep quiet. I'm no saint, I'm not a reverend father or anything, but the fact of the matter is that insofar as it relates to these issues, those who know the truth and refuse to speak are just as guilty as those who pulled the trigger on that day. Those who have seen the truth and refuse to accept it and continues to normalize the lie, they are as guilty as those who held the guns. Those who helped them to clean up at the toll gate, the Loma staff who cleaned up that morning, they are as guilty as those who pulled the trigger. Those in the Lagos State Hospital Management Board and the mortuaries who processed the dead, removing bullets, they are as guilty as those who are covering up the murder. These are blood murders, and eventually people will speak. Whether some people want it or not, people will speak. That is as it relates to the Nigerian society itself. It is not about the dead any longer. Those ones are gone. They've gone to rest. It is us, those who are living. It is either we find the capacity to tell the truth and to embrace it, or we continue to run away from the truth and further into the quicksand into which we are all mad. It's up to us. The truth is not going to suddenly become a lie because somebody does not like it or the powerful are sat on top of it. Makes no difference. So if I feel your pain, I'm in pain myself. It's difficult to believe that we've descended this low to the point where we see the truth and continue to deny it, and the government will continue to set up lies and elevate them to the position of official statements. It's up to them, but the truth will catch up with everybody eventually.
A lot of people have said, 103 people. This story means a lot to me. I broke down when I saw this happen. In the lead up to the actual day of the Lekki tollgate shooting, there was all of this mayhem going around Lagos, police stations being burned, people being killed. But 103 people, people are saying they're skeptical about that number of people.
And for good reason. In fact, OJ, what this report did was that it brought up more questions for me, and it's almost it's resurrecting the EndSARS story. I don't believe that we have come to the end of this. I think this will just bring up even more questions. And I wish Nigeria were a country where journalists would be allowed to do their jobs in terms of investigations and allowed to have access to interviewing key personnel, access to documents so that we can truly verify what is the true state of what's happened. 103 people, human beings, and going back to that first tweet you read, we're not talking about animals here, we're talking about people who lived, people who had family members, who had a livelihood. If these kind of numbers had died in that period that the government said, there should have been a national day of mourning called by the government. The fact that there was quiet or silence about these numbers all these years and 3 years is a cause for concern. Why? Why didn't anyone say anything? Yes, they put out adverts, but it didn't give the true picture of what had happened. Other questions, again, would be, or something else I wanted to identify is that in that letter that was written, where they EndSARS victims, I think it's time that the state government, in being sensitive to the people, stop tagging what has been said by international and local community members as one of the most peaceful protests when it happened to be victims of people who died as a result of EndSARS. People died as a result of violence that erupted following the agitations of people after the events of the 20th of October 2020. Because we have reports of how it was very organized, particularly at the epicenter, ground zero, in the Lekki tollgate. Then moving forward in terms of that, is that the panel report versus the white paper.
Yes.
There have been inconsistencies, and that's why the questions that still emerge. Right from the very first day when the military said they were not even there at all, then going on to saying that they did not fire live bullets. So many inconsistencies. When would Nigerians get the truth about what happened on the 20th of October 2020? And I hope that the state government at least would honor the dead. As was said, why hasn't an epitaph been built? Why hasn't that place been consecrated? Why hasn't nothing been done? 103 lives just like that? Big questions to be asked.
Absolutely, Rufai.
Okay, so where do I start? I'm going to have 3 parts to my speech this morning. Number 1, are we a society that wants the truth or we want lies? Do we even understand the truth or we've constantly fed on lies that have heralded our union as a country? I think it's a time for sober and deep reflection about the capacity of the truth and what it can do to our society. Or, if we don't want the truth, we continue to wallow in lies. But I'll tell you something. Uthman Danfodio said, conscience is an open wound and only the truth can heal it. For everybody out there, you've got your conscience open. It's a wound today. But it is the truth that can heal that wound you have. And I pray the souls of the departed will find healing.
Yes.
Secondly, we've become a state that does not care for lives. 103 people, that's the one we even saw. I would even say we even dignify them by putting their body in the morgue for some time. Do you know that in the Nigerian state, a lot of people die and their bodies are just left to waste like that and their carcasses? So we're not a country that appreciates lives. And that's why when a protest happens, all sorts of things happen and people are killed. It is a cultural problem we have with our psyche. And the state must learn to protect its people. I'll take you back to 1960s. A protest happened, famous protest in France called Sois en Huit. When that protest happened, the protesters, they were going to storm on the French presidential palace. Charles de Gaulle was a war general, a brave man. He didn't run away from the Nazis. He stood and he fought them. But when his own people were about to storm the Champs-Élysées, Charles de Gaulle ran away. He did not run away because he wasn't brave. He ran away because he knew if they had stormed the presidential palace and his guard had reacted, there would have been loss of lives. And Charles de Gaulle said, it is not on my watch. The French life will be lost. That is a leader that understands the importance of the life of his citizens.
Absolutely.
Do we have leaders like that? No. My third phase, Audrey, is the rigmarole we've done. I look at that video you play. You remember we fined over 2 million for that video. At first, the military denied that it was a lie. Mr. Lai Mohammed, we remember the word said. We remember when the MBC then, director, Mr. Indacheba came here. And I asked him just one question. I'll never forget that day. That what were the methods of verifying that video that it was wrong, but there was no answer. We're finally proven true. At first, the governor said, oh, I didn't call the military. And the military said, oh, the governor called us in. Now, we had a lot of back and forth. Then the white paper, then the report was released. Then it became political. We can say all and talk about the facts and details. But I ask again, do we want a country that will stand on the pedestal of the truth? And please, can we stand the truth?
Well said, Rufai.
What is the truth? Pontius Pilate asked.
Well, all right.
So it's relative.
We'll take another story. In Edo State, a video showing a convoy of government-owned sports utility vehicles stuck in mud on the Benin-Sapele Road went viral over the weekend. The convoy was said to belong to the governor of the state, Godwin Obaseki. While in the 1-minute video, the videographer could be heard saying that even government officials join the masses in driving through bad roads in Nigeria. Let's take a look before we come back for a discussion.
He don't read though. Now government percent of Bidiso, Mbola Siamo. He don't read. Yeah, now cover Bidiso. Yeah, now governor Nigeria water so. He don't stop. Now he must be this governor of Edo State. Since we tell them say man, they come they do and they not agree do. They come they load block they put. They say now what they do. They say everybody don't collect now. They say that they do us. They say that they do us so they don't know say. Who throw stuff for market like mama go meet to? Mola say governor did this motor so see. He dey side he hide, he dey shame. He not fit come outside. Now so everybody they collect for Nigeria, both the poor and the rich. Everybody they collect.
Look at this. This is happening in Nigeria. I took a story on this road. It's dilapidated. It's horrible. This is Governor Obaseki. I don't know what else to say. This is what's happening in his state. But he did say, he came out to say that, he tried to get money to fix the road. And the federal government said that they had awarded the contract to, another contractor to fix that particular road. But he could have still fixed the road. But what do you make of that?
Well, story time, but like the person said, everybody will collect.
Yes.
It will come to a point where both the rich and the poor is already happening now. The only thing I would say is that hopefully what would come out of this, aside from the fact that this is a huge security threat, the state governor of Edo State, stuck in traffic, anything could have happened to him. But moving away from that, what I'm hoping would come out of this is that perhaps our leaders would become more sensitive to the plight of the people.
Absolutely.
Maybe we need more governors' convoys stuck in pits and
look at the road.
Like this,
look
so
at this. Is that a road or a ditch?
What is this?
It's horrible. This man was, going crazy online on social media, screaming about this absolute mess.
Just look at the road. Come. Just be close to me. Look at the road. Just filter the road. Just filter the road. Not be road again. Not become gutter. See federal road though. Filter. Yeah. Come. See road. Let's go. See road. See. Yeah, now where they call this place? Where they call this place? Uja and Joshua. Go. See the road. See. Go. No, not the go. This Uja and what? Uja and Joshua. Not see where. Not be road again, no. It don't be covered up it. God, not be road again, no. This federal road, it don't become waiting. Bod of it. This message here, EndSARS people. EndSARS people. Now you get this message. EndSARS people. Oh, any person that can help us, where EndSARS people? You see Akpoma Road. EndSARS people, where there? EndSARS, we not get people for EndSARS again. EndSARS people. Since Abu Salim died, the road called Dabaru. See Federal Road. Oh, somebody help me.
Somebody come help me. No, somebody come. Somebody help me, oh. Come. Quick, come help me.
Ex-Niger Delta militant leader Asari Dokubo over the weekend, in a brazen show of support, unveiled a group of militants working for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, Dokubo, while addressing the militants on parade in a video that has now gone viral, one that anybody that misbehaves or seeks Tinubu's downfall will be smashed.
We work for President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, and he will succeed. Anybody who is planning for him to fail, the person had already. If he do anyhow, you do anyhow. If he do anyhow, you do anyhow. If he do anyhow, you do anyhow. You will collect woto. Turn by turn.
All right. What has Nigeria become?
Turn
Dr.
by
Bati.
turn. Turn by turn. Oh. I beg you, wait for your turn.
Wait for your turn, Dr. Bati. This is.
You see how interesting Nigeria is? A situation whereby the president of Nigeria has the support of militants. Okay? And you ask yourself the question, how would one individual be able to put together a group of about 300?
Yes.
And I can mobilize. Well, I don't see them doing anything violent, but they are expressing loyalty, solidarity for President Tinubu. One of those curious things about our society, about the role of non-state actors within the polity. Well, you may say maybe this is during the political season, and these are supporters of President Tinubu. But you see,
no, it wasn't during the political season. This is a recent video.
I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
No, this was a video that was released after he came out of the Hajj. Came back from the Hajj. So it wasn't political season. And these are non-state actors. And I don't know how this is.
They couldn't do anything evil. He put a gun in this one's hand. What about the guns he was brandishing before? Let's call it spade a spade. If we want the truth in this country.
No, the president of Nigeria being supported and defended by militants, it's curious.
It's very curious, Dr. Bati.
The optics is not very good.
No.
Because the president of Nigeria has the whole army. He's, after all, commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So that's what makes it curious. Yeah. And a lot of people will be worried that why will anybody have almost a personal army of over 300 militants?
But those are the questions, Dr. Bati. They are very valid questions. Rufai, I wish we had time.
I mean, what work in what capacity? Let's be very careful. Are we fast building another Haiti or other Papa Doc Duvalier with the Tonton Makut? Is that the question? You see, these Frankensteins we're building everywhere with non-state actors. I'll give you a little history lesson,
unfortunately,
because of time.
We don't have time.
America started with this, with the Soviet Union funding the Mujahideen through Charlie Wilson.
Right.
There's a movie out there for you called Charlie Wilson's War. You can see now how the same people America funded turned again.
President Bola Tinubu has appealed to justices of the Presidential Election Petition Court in Abuja to exclude the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, LP, Mr. Peter Obi, and his party in the event of any rerun presidential election, claiming that only him and the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, are constitutionally qualified to recontest. Tinubu argued that Obi and his party will not be qualified to recontest if the justices void the February 25, 2023 presidential election. But Obi urged the five-member panel not to subvert the people's will as expressed in the February 25 presidential election, stressing that President Tinubu should be sacked without further delay. Tinubu faulted both Obi and the Labour Party for asking the court to cancel the election and compel the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to conduct a fresh poll in which he, Tinubu, Shettima and the All Progressives Congress (APC) would not participate. He argued that should the relief be granted, Obi and LP would not derive any benefit, having been constitutionally barred from contesting the rerun election. President Tinubu's submissions were contained in his final written address in response to the petition of Obi and the LP, challenging his declaration as president. The chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, had on March 1 declared Tinubu the winner of the February 25 presidential election with 8,794,726 votes, while Atiku and Obi reportedly scored 6,984,520 votes and 6,101,533 votes respectively. While citing alleged issues of substantial non-compliance with electoral laws, corrupt practices, and non-qualification amongst others, Obi and LP on the one hand, as well as Atiku and the PDP on the other hand, had in their petitions asked the court to nullify the election. Alternately, they urged the court to order a rerun election to decide the authentic winner of the poll. In his final written address to the petition by Obi and the Labour Party, which Tinubu filed through his lawyer, Chief Wole Olanipekun, SAN, he submitted that the evidence tendered by the petitioners failed to prove claims of non-compliance and corruption capable of voiding his election. He, however, added that in the very unlikely event that the election of February 25, 2023 is voided, the candidates constitutionally prescribed to contest any subsequent election shall be the second respondent and the candidate of the PDP who came second by scoring the next majority of votes in the highest number of states, 19 states, to the first petitioner's 16 states, and also coming second by plurality of votes, having scored 6,984,520 votes, far and above first petitioner's 6,101,533 votes. In effect, the petitioners have no locus standi to ask for relief to, both constitutionally and legally. Constitutionally because he is barred from contesting, legally because he has no benefit to derive from the said relief, assuming it is granted. Contending that the court cannot decree an order for a fresh election outside the provisions of the Constitution, Olanipekun, who cited a plethora of authorities, said the law is settled that a party prosecuting an action would only have locus standi where the reliefs claimed would confer some benefits on such a party. Section 134, subsection 3 provides thus: in default of a candidate duly elected in accordance with subsection 2 of this section, there shall be a second election in accordance with subsection 4 of this section, at which the only candidate shall be A. the candidate who scored the highest number of votes at any election held in accordance with the said subsection 2 of this section, and B. one among the remaining candidates who has a majority of votes in the highest number of states. However, that where there are more than one candidate with majority of votes in the highest number of states, the candidate among them with the highest total number of votes cast at the election shall be the second candidate for the election. The learned Silk drew the court's attention to the testimony of INEC's sole witness, who observed that Obi's name was nowhere in the party's register, Exhibit RA-18, before he became the presidential candidate. He added, in any event, the first petitioner has failed to comply with the law of the land by first making himself a member of the second petitioner before proceeding to purportedly contest the election and even file a petition. We again refer to the uncontradicted evidence of the respondent's sole witness, who observed that the name of the first petitioner is nowhere located in Exhibit RA-18. Arising from the foregoing is the fact that the petition is improperly constituted, and as such, at the end of evidence and trial, it is clear that it does not vest jurisdiction in this honorable court to entertain it, and more particularly, to grant the relief sought. The essence of all this is that in the absence of the PDP and its candidate, the NNPP and its candidate, the grounds of the petition, The paragraphs making allegation against the parties and any evidence extracted during trial becomes incompetent and inadmissible in the absence of those parties. On the other hand, Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, has urged the 5-member panel of the Election Petition Court not to subvert the people's will as expressed in the February 25 presidential election. In his final written address in support of his petition, Obi challenged the declaration of Senator Bola Tinubu as the winner of the presidential poll and urged the panel to sack the president. He reminded the panel that its powers of adjudication, as provided in the Nigerian Constitution, were freely donated to them by the people. Hence, they need to uphold the confidence reposed in them.
Tinubu will go, Obi will come in. Tinubu will go, Obi will come in. Tinubu will go, Obi will come in. How many times did I say it? 3 times. Because of the solidity of that word, because of the, I'm laying emphasis on that word. You need to have that at the back of your mind. Because this journey is a journey of no retreat, no surrender. I told you, there's a level you will get to in a struggle, in a battle. There will be no retreat, no surrender. That's what we are into. Because when they enter the Red Sea, the other people, the Israelites, the people who believe in the truth, the people standing for the truth, the people that believes in the new Nigeria, they were also in the Red Sea, but they were walking through the paths, the land, the dry land, the dry land, the dry land. So, expect a miracle. It will go, because the more he struggled, the more he failed. The prophecy in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 3 will come to pass. It will come to pass. In that prophecy, we were told that Saul, which is likened to Bat, who is a ceremonial king, he tried his best, but at the end, he ended up in a shambles. And the Bible tells us that there was a long war between Saul and David, and that the house of Saul becomes weaker and weaker, while the house of David becomes stronger and stronger. It will be is likened to David. It's going to become stronger and stronger, because it is a journey of no retreat, no surrender. The strength will come from above. The Almighty hand is upon this nation. This nation cannot afford to collapse in our generation. It will not collapse in our generation. Thank God we have it will be who is ready to follow the way of the wilderness. We are in the way of the wilderness. He decided to go that way. He didn't go in the other way. He went through the way of the wilderness. In the way of the wilderness, it's a long journey, but it's a road of safety. By God's grace, no life was lost. This is how you know a chosen vessel. God has chosen him and is coming back. He's coming to sit on his seat. He's coming to sit on the seat of presidency. I told you that Obi will be sworn in, but not in May 29. Though I use the English swear in, but I'm correcting it now. Is sworn in. It will be sworn in a date that is not May 29, but it will come to pass. I saw it vividly. No power can stop it. God has given us a revelation of this man. Since last year, I've been saying it, that this man is coming. I saw the vision, and he was shining in that vision. And the Lord said, this is my perfect will. Obi is God's perfect will. Like I told you, bad is good. I don't have power to judge anyone. but he is not the right man at this time. It is not the will of God at this time. This is a critical moment in the history of Nigeria. Nigeria is at the verge of falling. We need a Messiah, not Messiah like Christ. Christ is a perfect Messiah, but we need a Messiah in the language of the Spirit to take us down to the new Nigeria. And the person that the Lord has chosen is Peter Obi. Peter Obi is coming. He's coming. Anywhere you are, vibrate it in your house. Revibrate it in your heart. Revibrate it in your soul. Revibrate it in your mind. He's coming to sit on the seat of presidency. He's coming to take his seat. He's coming back. He's coming. He's coming to sit on his seat. You will see it. It will come to pass. I told you in July 15, 2022, how Obi will come in. There will be a formidable youth movement. He will be a lover of the people. And that is why we are saying that the judiciary to do the right thing. Because if they go the wrong direction, the youth can take the other direction, which is not good. And we are praying that by the grace of God, the judiciary will do the right thing. And at the end, I see jubilation. I see jubilation. There is jubilation. You may not see it, but I am seeing it. I am saying what I'm saying. I'm seeing jubilation at the end of this tunnel. Those that depend on the arm of flesh, the Bible says they will fail. Because the Lord keep reminding me, and he gave me this word. For those opposing this new Nigeria and opposing the obedience, he gave me this word. He gave me Jeremiah 17 verse 5. That cursed be the man that trusts in man and makes man the arm of his flesh. Curse, woe unto him that makes man the arm of his flesh. They will fail at the end. And Obi will come in. Obi is coming. He's going to come. Like I told you, revolution is becoming inevitable, but it will be avoided. We have been praying. Let us continue to pray. Don't keep quiet. When the message came that there will be revolution, there will be crisis, serious crisis, we went into prayer. Prophecy, we don't pray for prophecy to negative prophecy to come to pass. We don't pray. We don't do like that. We went into prayer. The saints were praying. As the saints were praying, I give glory to God. Peter Obi also stirred the people to come down. He told the people from his language, calm down, calm down, calm down. And people calm down, and we follow the way of the wilderness. I tell you, the truth should be said. If the judiciary go the wrong direction, I see anarchy. The people are aware of what has happened. They are aware of what has happened. And there will be success at the end of the journey. Because I see bats. Since last year, I told you I see bats clearing grass. The more it clear, the more it fall. Because the grasses will be growing. So there is no way. The best thing they can do is to quit that seed and have a better life. That's why God gave me the three-dimensional plan. That first plan, to relinquish power, and then it will have peace. It will have better life. It will have good health. It will be better. It will relax. But if it doesn't, if it's stiff-necked, the Lord said it will end in shame. If it's stiff-necked, and the Lord said, if he's stiff-necked and not repentant, he will die on the throne, which we don't pray against. We are praying against that. We don't want it to get to that level. But this is the word of the Lord. I'm just a servant to voice out the word of the Lord.
This is Bod TV Bod. In case the first time you come here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more uploads.